Hello and welcome to Freedom Watch, your daily dose of raw liberty online at foxnews.com/freedomwatch. I'm Judge Andrew Napolitano here, defending freedom, defending your natural rights, and defending your right to have a government that stays within the confines of the Constitution. I've been fascinated with the Constitution ever since Barry Goldwater ran for president in 1964. But I have never seen the average person so interested in the Constitution as I see today. People now understand, like no generation before the present one, that the Constitution was written to keep the government off the people's backs, that Congress is not a general legislature that can right any wrong or tax any event or regulate any activity. The Tea Party movement has furthered this understanding. The Liberty movement, which is akin to the Tea Party movement, has furthered this understanding as well. Both of these movements have brought in disaffected Republicans, disaffected Democrats, and huge numbers of independents who were never politically active before and who will strike a mighty blow for the Constitution this November when they vote out of office incumbents from both parties. Joining me now to talk about all of this is Mike Church, radio host of Sirius XM's The Mike Church Show. Mike, it's a pleasure. Welcome back to Freedom Watch.
Thank you, Judge. Good to be here.
April 15th, it's time to remind people how much of our property the government steals. You guys have a very big reminder somewhere right here in New York, right?
It's at the post office across from Penn Station. New York City Tea Party is what it's called. Patriots Tea Party. We're kind of calling it the beer party. There's a pre-party, expecting about 20,000. Myself, my fellow host, Andrew Wilkow. And
from the Wilkow Report.
From the Wilkow Majority.
Right.
Larry Kudlow will be there. There's some people from the Reagan administration as well, I think.
Do you agree with me, and you know that, like you, I've addressed many of these Tea Parties, and like you, I've walked out into the crowds and chatted with the people, that there is more of an interest in the Constitution, more people are reading the Constitution, more people are waking up to the fact that, where does the government get the power to do this? There's nothing in the Constitution that says Congress can do that. Do you remember arguments like that heard with the regularity and frequency with which we hear them today?
No. Not only are people waking up to reading the Constitution, more importantly, they're waking up to find out what the men that wrote it actually meant. You, in the judge business, you call it original intent.
Right.
And as you know, the ratifiers say, whatever the ratifiers say that it meant, that's what it meant. And I find that people are going all the way back and they want to know, when it was ratified, what did the men that ratified it say that the Constitution meant? What in the Richmond Convention in Virginia and Massachusetts and what have you, what did the ratifiers give the law, the force of law to? And I think that's even more important, because when they find that out, Judge, when they find out what actual real intent is,
right,
which is not hard to find out, that's when they really get angry and said, why are we launching a space bus? What part of the Constitution does that come from?
And why does my doctor now, or soon, have to talk to a federal bureaucrat and get the federal bureaucrat's permission to spend X dollars in order to cure me? I thought that was between the doctor and me, or the doctor and my checkbook, or the doctor and my insurance carrier and me. Where does the government get the right to intrude on that privacy? It doesn't. Doesn't the Fourth Amendment mean we have the right to be left alone?
Doesn't the Ninth Amendment mean that if a liberty of a power is not enumerated and granted, it's reserved to the people? The Ninth Amendment, Fourth Amendment, as you point out. I mean, the entire document is a prescription of what the government can do. And what's in it is what the government can do. And I think that's what people are really coming around to, that, well, how come it took 150 years for FDR to define all these powers, to create all these agencies, and to assume these authorities over our money, over our lives, over our health, over our agriculture, toilets?
I think you right. The size of the toilet bowl, the strength of the water pressure that comes out of the shower. The other day, I was filling in for Glenn Beck at a very, very intelligent panel, and I looked at the four of them and I said, "Can any of you think of any area of human behavior not regulated by the federal government?" Somebody said the chair I'm sitting on. I said, no, it has 5 legs, not 4, because OSHA ordered that. The shoes that I'm wearing, I said, oh no, the tanning process of the shoes is regulated by legislation written by the Congress. To be serious, it is almost impossible to think of an area of human activity, personal or commercial, public or private, that is not regulated by the federal government today.
There is no area. I can't think of one. Shoelaces, I'm sure, have to be coated a certain with a certain coating so that they slide on, and in case you need to take them off real quick because there's a fire, that your shoe can't catch on fire. We all know the joke about mattresses, the toilets, the amount of water pressure in your sink, your dishwasher. Who ever thought? Can you imagine James Madison not only not envisioning dishwashers, but not envisioning the yellow tag that says, the federal government says if you buy this product, you'll save this amount in electricity. James Madison might have thought, federal government says you'll save this. You know, we had no regulations on miles per bale of hay for our horses, to make an analogy.
All right, we all understand the problem, and some of it is ridiculous, and much of it is really in our face. And I think health care is probably the last straw for so many people, because we all use doctors. And the Supreme Court has said from the Constitution, not from Congress, comes the privacy of that conversation. And the last time I checked, the Congress can't change the Constitution, yet it has tried to here. Big picture, take a step back.
Sure.
Is this hopeless? Is the march toward order, centralization of power, centralized economic planning an inevitable march, or can we stop it and reverse it?
Well, you know, Cicero said that freedom is participation in power. We have the illusion that we participate. All the way back to the 1950s, Ayn Rand was telling us that, hey, we don't have two parties, we have one big government party. Is it hopeless? We have a couple of solutions. We have nullification and interposition. Who knows where that's going to go? Federal judges are going to strike that down, more than likely. We have a secession, which a lot of people are talking about, which I don't think is a solution. Then we have Article 5. Why not call an amendments convention together, get the states together? They all have the same beef, same gripe, try to get them on the same page, call an Article 5. Two-thirds of state legislatures can ask the Congress, demand that the Congress convene a convention, amend the document, and fix it. Other than that, I see that there's no road out of this other than what used to be called balkanization. I don't know what the American term would be.
Yeah, well, it would be breaking the country up into smaller republics, which actually was proposed by George Kennan, of all people, a big government personified, shortly before he died. Do you think that the Tea Party movement will have an influence in the November elections, or do you fear it will split the Republican vote and let Democrats squeak by with a plurality, with the greatest number of votes, but with fewer than 50%?
Let me give you the not canned answer.
Let's hear it.
If you don't get the candidate you want, but the candidate that you're told to vote for is a Republican, you should either find the candidate that you want or you should not vote. You should hold out, just like when the Rockefeller wing took over the party in the 1960s. They sabotaged Barry Goldwater's candidacy. I mean, they buried the man. By 1968, Goldwater was a Nixon Republican. Why shouldn't the Tea Party people say, okay, we may not win this election, but you will field candidates that are to our liking, or we will not vote for your party? And yes, if it takes a third party, sir, then that's what it will take.
If I weren't busy, I would be out at the post office with you guys when you have that rally. Mike Church, it's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
We'd love to have you, Judge.
Good luck in that rally.
Thank you.